Hey, and welcome back to Weekly Devotionals with me, Paul, here at Terra Nova Church in North Adams. Here's a little bit about me. I love Jesus. I love the change that he has brought to my life, the work that he has done in my heart and in my soul through his word. I love the people of God that he's brought in my life to help guide me on that path. And these weekly short videos are just my small attempt to share my story and to help hopefully encourage you in your journey of finding and following Jesus too. So today we're going to jump back into what is my mostly everyday Bible reading plan, and it's going to take us to the book of Exodus in chapter 18. But before I get there, a little context so that the few verses that we'll read will make a little bit more sense. Where we pick up in Exodus 18 is after the Exodus story, the Israelites being rescued from slavery in Egypt, and leading the people out of Egypt is a guy by the name of Moses, who God called while he was living in the desert and called him to go to Egypt and be part of the journey of helping to rescue his people. But now Moses, when he was living in the desert before he went back to Exodus, he had a wife and he had children. And so when he left and went to Egypt, his wife and his children stayed with his wife's dad. His name is Jethro. That's Moses' father-in-law. And so now after the Israelites have left Egypt, they've crossed the Red Sea, and now they're journeying through the desert to the Promised Land. Jethro and Moses' family, his wife and kids, are coming out to meet him and the Israelites on their journey. And there's a happy, joyful family reunion. Then there's a few verses which I want to just read and put before us now. But it's going to make more sense with that context. So here's the few verses from Exodus chapter 18. Then Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the good that the Lord had done to Israel, in that he delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. So here's the idea that struck me in reading those few verses. Jethro had joy. He rejoiced, we're told, because God moved in the life of somebody else. He moved in the life of Moses, and he moved on behalf of the Israelites. And Jethro has joy out of that. And for the past few weeks, I've spoken a little bit about these seasons where we may find ourselves when life with God feels dry, when he feels distant, when his voice is quiet. And if you're anything like me, sometimes in those days, there comes this strong desire for God to speak to me, move in my life, prove to me that you're still there, that you're with me. Speak so I can know that you're still alive and my God. And if you're anything like me too, if those seasons, if those days continue to draw out, I not only long for God to do that in my life, but when I hear of him doing that in other people's lives, I start to get a little bit jealous. I even get a little bit envious that God has chosen to speak to them and move in their lives. And there's, God, why not me? And I don't think I'm alone in that, in feeling that way. So this passage exhorted me, and so I want to share the exhortation with you as well. Perhaps part of the reason God puts us in community with other people is that so we can hear from God and share in the joy of God moving and providing and speaking, because he's done so in the life of somebody else, not just me. We all should share in the joy of God speaking, God providing, God moving in powerful ways. Yes, in my life, and I should long for that, but I also should celebrate it and rejoice in the fact that it's in your life too. And that should also build my joy in that God is still there, still moving, still speaking. So perhaps the sharing of God's joy in somebody else's life, maybe it can't or it shouldn't breed jealousy in my own heart and push me further into darkness and into quietness with God, but maybe it can feed joy and pull me back into his family. I know that's not always easy. Certainly know that when we want God to speak into our lives and have him answer prayers for him to speak to us, but maybe we can get answers to that through the lives of other people. And maybe that can feed our joy. And not only feed our joy, but it can feed our faith too. So a few verses later in Exodus 18, we see this actually happens for Jethro. He rejoices. That's the passage we read. And then a few verses later, we get this quote from him. This is from verse 11 in Exodus 18. Jethro says, "Now I know that the Lord is greater than all other gods." Because of Moses' story and the Israelite story, now Jethro knows that the Lord is greater than all other gods. Jethro's faith was deepened because God moved in the life of Moses, and he moved on behalf of the Israelites. And his faith was deepened, and his faith was strengthened because of Moses' testimony to God's redemption. It's the journey of Psalm 107, I think it's verse 2, when it says, "Let the redeemed of the Lord say so." So 2 encouragements for us today. Be open to God answering your prayers for him to speak, by him answering that through speaking to other people, and rejoice in his active presence in the life of other people, your brothers and sisters, and therefore he's active with you as well. And the second encouragement is, if God moves in your life, provides, speaks, moves in powerful ways, share it. Because your story can build joy in somebody else's story and feed their faith too. That's all I have for you today. Be blessed. Be healthy. I hope you're staying healthy. Stay connected. Reach out to me if there's anything I can do for you, pray for you, help you with. Paul@terranovachurch.org. Have a great day.